Coach, another thriller. You beat Chattanooga in double overtime. Shot at a conference championship is still there for the taking this week at VMI. Let's go back to the Chattanooga game. Early on, and really through the first half, they did a very good job stopping the fullback. Very little room between the tackles. Second half, that loosened up. What happened?
Well, I think, first of all, we blocked better. Second of all, I think those guys were out there. And I think, just the process of playing a game and fatiguing a little bit, and we did a better job conceptually of trying to attack them. And when it was all said and done, we did enough to win the game. It took us double overtime to get it done, but it was tough day against a very tough opponent. They've got some guys that are outstanding players. I mean, and you may hear that a lot, but when you're looking at guys, three guys on the interior that are the lightest guy I think was like 305, that's going to challenge you. And I was proud of our guys, the way that they came back in the second half, and did a little bit better, got their pads down a little bit lower, strained for their gain, and next thing you know, we're moving the sticks, and we're helping ourselves have an opportunity to win the game.
There have been a number of games this year where it seems like your offensive line gets the upper hand in the third and fourth quarters, where you seem to wear opponents down. Talk about the depth you have on the offensive line and how it maybe compares to previous years.
Well, we've got definitely a solid two deep. There are certain guys that haven't played much, and a lot of that deals with just the way that the season's played out. When you're looking at real close games, real tight games, you want your best five in there. We're getting more and more guys in there getting reps, and at this point, because they finally understand all the nuances that they needed to understand. And Coach Nash does a great job with our offensive line. He's a great teacher, really creative as far as his thought process with schemes and things like that. And his kids play hard for him. He has a great relationship with those guys, and proud of really the job they've done all year.
Defensively, you had to do without Mikel Horton. He's suffering from mono. Talk about what changes you had to make on your defensive front and how you think they did without him in there.
Well, quite frankly, I thought our defense played really well, and our defensive front came up big again. When you look at Miles Brown, he played DN, came in at nose guard some. Tyler Vaughn, played well, made some plays. Deion Priester at the nose guard position did a real nice job coming in. He's a true freshman. A couple of times he got a little bit too high in his pads, and he had to pay for it. But he's growing. He's getting better. We've got several other guys that Brian Curtis, he's came in, and or Brandon Curtis came in and did a nice job applying pressure on the quarterback, and batted down a ball when it was at a critical time in the game. And just all of those guys just do a great job of playing great technique, and a lot of that goes towards their coach, Coach Rise. He does a great job with those guys.
You lost to Tavius Wilson, your best linebacker, in the second half. Billy Hinton came in and played on the inside. Tell us what your thoughts on how Billy did, and then what do you think Datavius' status will be going forward?
Well, I think Datavius will be fine to go this week. Billy came in and played well. Did a nice job fitting the gaps, the gap where he needed to on the run. Did a nice job as far as pressuring sometimes when we blitzed him, and did a nice job as far as coverage and stuff like that. Coach Gasparotto, there's two sets of guys that he can roll in, and both sets will be guys that will play at a high level. They chase the ball well. They'll do the things that it takes in the pass coverage as well to hopefully distribute the intermediate zones, and every now and then they come up with a pick. You look at Colton the other day; he comes up with a big one, and we're blessed to have a lot of good players. Blessed to have kids that have a great attitude and temperament for the game, and we're praying for Mikkel, and hopefully he'll have a fast recovery. But if he doesn't, somebody's going to take his place.
Devin Watson had the biggest play of the day, the interception in the second overtime. Talk us through that play, and when he picked it off, did you think at the time, he's got a chance to take it back and win it right now?
Yeah. Devin had an outstanding game. I think he had 11 solo tackles, and a lot of times he was tackling in space and put people to the ground, put them down right now, didn't give them extra yardage. And then when he had the opportunity to make the pick, he got it. And I was hoping that he was going to take it all the way back. I think initially there were some people saying, get down. And then, we knew the situation, go score on this one. And, I thought when he cut back, I thought he was going to have a chance to do it, but he didn't quite get there. But huge play. It afforded us an opportunity to win the game.
Turn your attention to VMI this week. They've had a very difficult season. They've got a couple of very young quarterbacks. What do you look for them to try to do offensively?
Well, I don't think they're going to be anything different than what we've seen on film. I don't think you can create a new offense in a week. They've decided what direction that they want to go, and they're trying to work to get there. They're a scary team. That they have a lot of players that will compete at a very high level. Every time that we play those guys, it's a tough game, and we're going to have a quality game. We're going to have a winning performance out of everybody. People say, well, the record. Forget the record. That has nothing to do with Saturday. Saturday, it's going to be one of those games that we're going to have to scrap and do everything we can do.
Terrence, this team plays close game after close game. You go to double overtime. You beat Chattanooga. What's it like being out on the field, especially when, say, the opponent has the ball and it's do or die? What's it like being in that situation so often this year?
It's a great feeling, actually, because going off last year's experience, it's like we had that feeling of having our backs against the wall, close game, after a loss at Sitter homecoming. So it's like now this year, it's like a reminder of like, hey, you've been here before. You're like, y'all been before. Y'all may have lost a few seniors, but this team collectively, we've been in this moment before, and we know what it takes to come out on top with a W. I mean, it may not have been the prettiest. Like this year, it may have been the prettiest wins. Like, hey, y'all haven't like just destroyed opponents, but it only take one to win. And then when you make the right play at the right time, then that all that matters. Like, say if you dominate a whole game, and then in the fourth quarter, you don't dominate and you end up losing the game. But in versus, you're going back and forth. You could have dominated, but you didn't. And then fourth quarter, when it's crunch time, you dominate and you win. Like, I'm going to go with the second scenario versus the first scenario. And so, like, to be honest with you, like, the only loss we have, like, that one was in our control too. So it's like, it's not like we just didn't dominate the game. It's just a few plays where the ball wasn't in our favor and we didn't execute to our highest potential, which cost us that game. It was a close game like the rest of these games, and a game that we could have pulled off, but it happens, and we learned from it, and it put us in a situation where, hey, man, you have to win now. Like, you can't lose anymore. Like, now speaking on 2002 team with VMI, it's like it's that over again right now. Because if we lose this game, then now like we have 2 losses in the conference. Things not looking pretty. Like, now it's like we got our hands crossed, biting on the fingernails, like praying something happens. Like, now it's still in our control. Although the games we've been in are close games, we still got the W's. And this game here coming up, let's say, I'm pretty sure VMI, they haven't won a game, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna give us all they got this game coming up. Pretty sure they're gonna like, if I was in that situation as a team, it's like, hey man, we're not gonna let these guys come up here and just think they're just gonna run over us and get a win in SoCon. Like, we have a chance to be the roadblock in their plan, so why not? So, like, knowing that this is probably how they're thinking, like, hey, we got to go up here and we got to execute and not take these guys lightly. Because the record, they may be a no-win team for this year as of now, but they still don't mean they're a terrible team. So it's like, with that mindset of, like, just staying humble, staying true to the course of the game of football, like, hey, we're going to go out each and every week. We're going to do our best at our abilities and perform plays when it matters. And say if that's you're not, like the first 3 quarters, like, you're not at the best you can possibly be, but the 4th quarter you make the plays you have to make, then so be it. Or all 4 quarters you dominate and end up being like a lopsided game, then so be it. That's all. Only thing that matters is us performing when it has to happen and coming out on top at least by 1 when the clock strikes 0.
All right, VMI was very close last year in the 4th quarter. What do you recall about playing those fellas last year?
That feeling is the feeling of, hey, because they weren't like the best team last year, but they still played us close the entire game. And like, what I recall is mostly is, hey, like, these guys, they got heart. Like, these guys, you're not just gonna roll over these guys. Like, they're gonna play you just like any other team has played you all year long. And that's like going off that feeling last year. Like, man, like, we was looked to, like, blow these guys out. Like, people was asking why is the score still 10-3 for going in 4th quarter. Like, what's going on? Wofford, like, hey man, like, these guys, they really playing us. Like, their defense made a lot of plays and their offense made some plays that allowed them to keep put up 3 points and keep the game within 10-3 from a defensive standpoint from their side. So it's like, hey, we're gonna go out this week and we're gonna remember, like, last year, like, they're not just going to lay down. They're not just going to give us this game. We have to actually take what we want. And if we want to win SoCon, then we got to go out here from an offensive standpoint. Let's get these first downs. Let's put the ball in the end zone. Let's kick field goals, whatever we got to do to put points on the board. As a defense, let's keep the score at 0 or limit them no more than what our offense puts up, then we'll win the game. Like, that's been the recipe so far, to stay true to what's gotten us here and go out and execute and do our best we can do.
Chandler, you're a senior, and here you are with a chance this Saturday with a win to win a Southern Conference championship. What would that mean to you based on everything you've been through since you've been here?
Well, the first 2 seasons I was here were kind of difficult, 5-6, 6-5. In high school, I never really won anything, no championships or anything. We went to state twice, but we didn't win. But it was difficult the first 2 years, to go through that. And but we turned it around last year. I think it was a testament to the culture that a lot of the older guys have built, But yeah. It would mean a lot to me, winning something like that. I've really worked hard my past 4 years, and a lot of the older guys, guys who have come up with me have worked really hard, and that's something we strive for, every week. We just know we got to go out and win, and every week's a ring game, That's one of the things that we've been saying before every game we play. It's just ring week, no matter who we're playing, whether it's VMI or Chattanooga, you got to play hard, and it's a physical game, and we know we got to go out and win.
The team has only lost 1 conference game this year. That was against Samford. What was the attitude like coming out of that one? Because that, like many of your wins, that was a close game, only it went the other way.
Well, at the end of last season, after we lost to Citadel, we knew we had to win every game, to make the playoffs and have a shot. So I think it's a similar situation in respect that after Samford, we knew we had to win every single game to win SoCon. And that every game was going to be a fight, you know, that we had to come out, prepare really well, and it was going to be a physical game, and that we had to play our best, you know, every week. Because, you know, if you mess up one time and someone's playing well, you know, you could lose. So we just knew every week that we had to win.
You're a Chattanooga guy. You were recruited by UTC. Guys you went to high school with play for UTC. So after losing to them twice, what has it meant to you to beat them twice?
Well, it's kind of funny, actually. I know a bunch of guys on the team, and they after they beat us and they won SoCon, a couple of them were joking with me, you know, like, haha, we got y'all again. Like, and it was kind of funny after we beat them last year, you know, I could finally say, like, hey, we got y'all this year, you know. But it's a good time, but, you know, it means a lot, you know, to beat a team like that, and maybe someone who they recruited me, but, you know, someone who maybe overlooked you in high school or passed up on you. And it's just it's always important to play them and just to play well, you know, and not more important than any other game, but it's nice to beat them, you know, so I can go home and, you know, joke with the guys like, hey, we got y'all again.
Talking with Wofford tight end Chandler Gauger, you're wearing your O-line shirt. So I guess I'll ask you, how important is blocking to you? How much pride do you take in your blocking?
Well, you know, when I first got here, I wasn't really a sound blocker, you know. I didn't really do that much in high school. I was more of a pass catcher. And, you know, over the years, I've really focused on, you know, the fundamentals, footwork, hand placement, you know, been taught a lot better. And it's really helped me, actually. I've become a lot better blocker since I've gotten here, you know, and it's just part of the offense, you know. It's a huge part, and I think that we know that, you know, a big block can be the difference between a negative gain and a touchdown, and it's huge to be a sound blocker and just focus on the little things, you know, such as footwork and hand placement.
You were recruited by a number of schools, Richmond, Furman, you mentioned Appalachian State. Why Wofford? How did you end up here?
Well, in high school, our athletic director actually played baseball at Wofford, and so I kind of knew of it from there, and I knew it was a pretty good school, and they were pretty good at football and athletics, and big academic. So I think a big part for me and my family was just getting a really good education, and, you know, football is not always going to be there, you know, after college, and so I'll have a good degree and, you know, be set and get a good job after school.